You can't make a sound on Earth. The slightest sound leads to death because aliens are sensitive to sound and they would attack. The film opens 89 days after an alien invasion devastates the planet and wipes out most of humanity. The monsters are blind but have strong hearing, so they hunt wherever they hear noise. The Abbott family parents, Lee and Evelyn, plus children Reagan, Marcus, and Bo, go into a deserted town away from their home to search for supplies. They make as little noise as possible and communicate entirely through sign language. Evelyn finds medicine for Marcus, who is ill. Bo finds a toy rocket that he wants to play with, but Lee removes the batteries and warns him that it would be too noisy. Reagan gives Bo the rocket, and he takes the batteries when nobody is looking. The family heads home along a quiet dirt path, careful not to make a sound. When they reach the bridge, Bo pops in the batteries and switches on his toy, creating a ruckus. Hearing a monster rustling in the woods, Lee dashes towards Bo, and while he runs, we could see Evelyn in distress, like she is sure the alien would get him. But before he reaches him, a creepy spider-like creature springs out of nowhere and snatches Bo away. More than a year passes, and the family keeps going strong, doing their best to stay hushed. Evelyn is expecting their fourth baby, and Lee, always resourceful, manages to craft a hearing aid for Reagan using spare parts scavenged from old radios. But despite their efforts and previous attempts, the device doesn't work as hoped, and Reagan remains unable to hear. While playing Monopoly, the kids are having a blast when Marcus accidentally topples a lantern, breaking it and starting a tiny fire. Lee jumps into action and swiftly extinguishes it. They all hold their breath, waiting to see if the noise attracts any monsters, but thankfully, none appear. Later on, Lee and Evelyn find a moment of respite. They listen to a song on a device and finally share a dance, relishing in this rare moment of joy after what feels like an eternity. Lee takes Marcus to go fishing by the falls, even though he is scared of being out there. Reagan volunteers to go, but Lee tells her to stay and help her mother. It is clear that there are tensions between Lee and Reagan. When Lee and Marcus get to the falls, Lee assures Marcus it's safe to talk there since the sound of the river is louder than the sounds they can make. They are then able to speak to each other for the first time in a while. Marcus tells Lee that Reagan blames herself for what happened to Bo, and he asks his father if he feels the same way. Lee denies it. Marcus asks him if he loves Reagan, and says Lee should tell her that he does. Reagan leaves the house and walks toward the bridge where the family left a memorial for Bo. She cuts the wires of the toy rocket to remove the sound but let the lights go off. As Lee and Marcus start walking back home, they come across a man standing over the mutilated corpse of a woman who may have been his wife. Despite Lee trying to get the man not to do anything, the man screams to attract the monster. Lee and Marcus runs and hides as the man is being killed. Back at the family's farm, Evelyn's water breaks. She heads down to the basement and impales her foot on the exposed nail coming up from the stair. She manages not to scream out, but drops the picture frame she was holding, which draws an alien into the house. Evelyn pulls her foot off the nail, switches on the red light bulbs which run across the property and serve as a warning signal, and searches the shelves for a mechanical kitchen timer. At this point, she could feel the baby coming, as her breathing pattern increased. The alien slowly walks down the stairs into the basement, listening for any evidence of life. When the timer goes off, the alien attacks it as Evelyn runs upstairs. She sees another alien in the front yard. Evelyn goes upstairs into the bathroom and sinks into the tub. She's starting to give birth as the alien comes upstairs. Lee has returned home and is horrified to see that the red lights have been switched on. He signs the word "rocket" to his son, then tells him, "I need you to make a sound louder. You can do it." Lee grabs his shotgun as Marcus sprints to a designated area and lights a fuse which sets off a series of fireworks. Lee searches the house and walks into the bathroom where he sees an empty bathtub covered in his wife's blood. He starts to weep, believing Evelyn is dead, then discovers that she is safe and hiding in the shower with their new baby boy. Marcus, meanwhile, is walking back toward the house when he hears an alien. He makes a run for it into the cornfield, but runs straight into a tractor wheel, knocking himself unconscious. Reagan has returned home and notices the beam of Marcus' flashlight coming out from the cornfield, but cannot hear the alien coming up behind her. But as the alien moves closer, Reagan's cochlear implant processor starts producing high-pitched feedback which distresses the alien, causing it to run off. Reagan finds Marcus and they retreat to the top of the grain silo. Lee has taken Evelyn to the cellar, and placed his new son into the soundproof crib. Evelyn thinks about Bo and regrets that she didn't carry him on that fateful day, then, before getting some much-needed sleep, makes Lee promise that he will protect their children. Lee leaves to look for the kids as we see water rushing down into the cellar. Later, Evelyn wakes to find that the cellar has flooded. On top of this, an alien has climbed down inside the room, and the baby is sleeping in the soundproof crib but the top is open. Evelyn carefully picks up her baby and slinks to the back of the cellar behind the waterfall flooding the room. On top of the silo, Marcus signs, "Don't worry, he'll come for us." But Reagan shakes her head replying, "He'll come for you." All of a sudden, a hatch on the top of the silo breaks, causing Marcus to fall inside of it. As he's slowly drowning in the grain, the alien in the cellar with Evelyn is drawn out by the noise. The hatch breaks away completely and falls into the silo, just missing Marcus. Reagan, herself, jumps into the silo and successfully saves her brother by pushing the hatch towards him so he can grab hold of it. However, she herself quickly sinks into the grain. Marcus climbs onto the hatch and pulls out his sister to safety. Reagan and Marcus both sit safely atop the silo door, but then they hear a crash on top of the silo. The alien from the flooded cellar jumps in the silo as the kids cover themselves with the hatch door. They seem doomed until Reagan's cochlear implant processor once again lets out a piercing feedback, forcing the alien to crash out the side of the silo. Reagan and Marcus crawl out of the silo and into a pickup truck. Lee has arrived on the scene and grabs an axe, but is quickly attacked by the alien, which causes Marcus to scream. Upon hearing this, the alien heads for the truck and starts ripping it open. This time, when Reagan's processor starts its piercing feedback, she turns it off. Now the alien can safely resume its attack on the truck. Lee, who is badly injured, makes eye contact with his daughter and signs, "I love you. I have always loved you." He then lets out a yell to sacrifice himself and save the kids. They put the truck into neutral and roll it back to the house, where they reunite with their mother running into Evelyn's arms, as they all mourn Lee's death. They run to the basement for safety. Evelyn keeps Marcus in the corner to protect the baby. Reagan sees Lee's notes and equipment that he used experimentally against the creatures. One of the monsters then makes its way into the basement as Evelyn arms herself with a shotgun. Reagan realizes that her hearing aid is strong enough to weaken the creature, so she uses it to produce a powerful frequency that causes the monster's head to open and writhe around in pain. It rises up, but Evelyn blasts its head off. This alerts another pair of monsters, who quickly make their way toward the house, as Evelyn sees on the cameras. However, now that they know how to fight back, Reagan turns up the volume on the microphone, and Evelyn, with a smile, cocks the shotgun. The end. Kindly leave a like, and comment below on how you feel about this movie. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more. See you next time.